hi everyone, my name is Vivienne Fam. So I am the founder of the Awaken Her Raw, and I am about to go on the Prosperity online show with Prosper, and it's going to be some stories and my journey that going to be shared in the show, and can't wait to have this conversation with Prosper.
Welcome again to yet another exciting episode of the Online Prosperity Show, your number one place for exclusive, real deal conversations that help you solve the struggles you might be facing right now. I'm your host, Prosper Taruvinga, and today we've got somebody who knows what it means to stop hiding and start roaring. Now, Vivienne, how are you doing today?
I am super excited to be here with you, Prosper. It has been a while that have been waiting to be on your show.
Absolutely. Well, you should have started off with a dance because I've heard that that's one of the things that you just randomly do at any given moment, right?
Yes, as you can, I think I give the title that I am a dance floor wildcard. While I can never coordinate my hand and my leg, when there's music, I just can't help myself to dance.
Absolutely. But you know what? That's a sign of confidence because some people, no matter how bumping the music is, they'll just be like, "Ooh, I don't know if I'm gonna be doing the right thing," or sort of things like that. So, and if, especially if you're in a place where everybody is somehow serious, it makes you visible, right? Because people will be like, "Who was that girl who just started dancing?"
Yeah, I just I just can't stop from moving my body when there is music starting. And no matter where I am, that's how my girls embarrass with me. Mom, can you stop moving? But I just can't help myself, okay?
Absolutely. Well, that just walks right into the kind of person that you are. You are a confidence and visibility coach anyway, and you also host your podcast and you're a cheerleader in chief for culturally diverse women who are done shrinking. And for those that are watching, obviously, Vivian helps these women overcome self-doubt, reclaim their voices, and step into leadership without a hint of apology. Through her signature 3 Ps of framework, she actually turns whispers into roars. So we're going to be talking about that as we go along. And hopefully there's not going to be any dancing later on, but I will try and play some music and see if Vivienne is true to the word. But on today's show, we're going to dive into Vivienne's story from being a working mom, silently doubting herself, to becoming a powerful voice for transformation. And she was even inspired by her son's teacher's observation, which we're going to dive into. So I'm excited to see what this will create. So stick around because we're about to get real. It's about to get funny. And I know this is going to be inspiring. Now, Vivienne, I mean, before you hit live on any Facebook or any event that you go to, your heart is usually pounding, and a lot of people are not confident because you don't know what to expect. Can you tell us a little bit of what life was like before you decided I need to show up or I need to start really, really standing out?
Okay, where do I start? It's a long story for sure. Before the Facebook Live, before I became visible online, I always thought that I have to be a people pleaser. I thought I have to stay small so that I can be accepted by others. I tend to do a lot of things behind the scene. I thought that, okay, I better don't stand out because that's where people might be thinking, oh, look at her. She's trying to show off, and she's trying to stand out. Who do you think she is? So prior to become someone who is visible online prior to become that confidence and visibility coach. As you mentioned, the story started when I was really young because I always trying to do something, but I feel that there is this one of my foot was on the pedal where the other one was on the brake. I want to move forward, but backward, few more steps. I don't know what was holding me back. So because when I was younger, I was told that just be good girl, don't be too loud. That's what my culture was telling me to do. As the traditional Asian background, I always thought that my life is going to be finishing university, get a good job, get married, look after your kids, grow your kids, and then at the end, maybe become that grandmom and look after your grandchildren. I always thought that my life going to be like this for the rest of my life. Until, as you mentioned, I had this conversation with my firstborn teacher. She told me that because she actually told me in a parent teacher interview, do you think your son might be autistic? I was like, oh, I felt that I was a bad mom. I was a mom at failure because I then realized that I'm actually passing down my silence to him because that was how I was brought up. As a child, it brought back to I went on the personal discovery journey. That's how I got into life coaching. Because prior to this, I didn't know what life coaching is. I always thought that coach only maybe in the football, in the basketball, and running. But we didn't realize that in our life we need a coach as well. That go back to my personal development journey. So I'm not really sure that's answered the
Yep.
question
Oh,
because it's a long answer to your question.
absolutely. And I love that because you've now opened us up to your upbringing. And maybe you could just let us know what that meant to be a good girl and not be above the noise. What does that actually mean? Because I would maybe want to tell that sort of information to my 6 year old who's always making noise outside my office if she wants something.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I totally get what you mean. And because we all used to be that little child as well, right? We always, as a little child, we don't really know what being when people say no, we just want to get our thing, no matter when people say no. Until when we were older, we feel that oh, we need to be accepted, our magical big people. When we need our magical big people to accept us, we do the things that probably is not really what our real intention. So my background, I'm a Malaysian. I come from Malaysia as an Asian background. So as kids at our time, when we were younger, we wasn't taught about emotional intelligence. Yes. So it's not only in the household we were meant to be that good girl, but also in kindergarten, at school. Because when I something that clearly brought me back when I was on this personal development journey was that I found my defining moment when I was in kindergarten. I was that first, I think I was the first child in the kindergarten wearing glasses. And I was so chubby. I was so fat at the time. I was that chubby little girl and wearing glasses. And wearing glasses during that time wasn't as common as nowadays. When during our time it was so uncommon. The kids thought that I was an alien. I remember vividly all the kids was laughing at me for wearing glasses. So I hated to go kindergarten at the time. Every time when I was dropped at the kindergarten, I will just cry, and no one actually come to ask me why are you crying, Vivian? And no one actually, people thought that probably I have separation anxiety, I don't like to go to school, until one day, and I still remember the face of one kindergarten teacher. She came to me with a cane. She yelled at me, shut up or I will smack you, right in front of my face. I think that's how I became silence, because I didn't just stop crying on the day. I became silence altogether because I thought that I can't just voice up easily. I can't just cry easily because somebody will come to me with a cane telling me to shut up again. That's how I remember, or in that moment, I realized that I better become that good girl so that I don't get smacked. So I think it is very common in a lot of household. We didn't realize that how that impact going to impact that child. It might, as a parent or during that time, we thought that it might be common, but you don't know how much impact it's going to plant in that subconscious of that child.
Mm. Absolutely, because I can imagine, because you opting to be quiet was a form of self-preservation or protection, because otherwise that would have been implanted on you. So moving on from kindergarten to maybe later on, what did you then do? What did you study, and how did you end up in Australia?
Like I say, that's our probably that's a pathway that our parents or our society given to us. Study hard, finish high school, get a great marks so that
Mhm.
you can go into university. That's how I came to Australia. So, but at the time, I had uh, that rebellious mind. I just want to get out from my country to go further from my family so that I don't get to do. That was when I had the opportunity to get out from the country. I just came to Australia to studies at the time because um, that's how. But I got into university, and that's how I got here and study and met my other half here as well, and
Okay.
had children. And that's I thought maybe that's the end. That's something that I'm going to be like for the rest of my life until, like you mentioned, I had children. And when I had that conversation with the teachers, I realized that I have, like I say, I passed the silence to my firstborn, and I got onto the personal development journey. That's how things change. Because once you are in the personal development journey, you realize that you probably meant for more. And I learned about why I behave what I behave. I went into that defining moment and I learned a lot more about my son and my children. So I learned that it's to discipline a child, it's not only with the cane, right? And there are a lot more that we can do. So I learned about like I say, the tools that I'm using is to tap into a talent of that person, because a lot of time the way that one person behave, it's not the same. Definitely everyone have their own personalities. You and I have different strengths, and how are we going to use that strength to live our full potential? That's how I learned about my son, my firstborn. I realized that he probably have his own path, his own pace in studying, in become a better person himself. So I can't really use the same communication technique the same way I communicate with my daughter. So every child are different, and every person are different in their strength. So once we know that person, their strength and their, I wouldn't say weaknesses, because everyone, it depends on how you utilize your strength. Because if you use your there's something that I'm not sure if you did see a pictures. If you ask a fish to climb a tree, people might thought that fish is stupid, but fish meant to be in the water, right? So everyone just have their own personalities and their strengths. So my work is to tap into someone's talents so that they can utilize their talents to their full potential. That's how they become more confident.
I like that, Vivian. You see, when we were growing up, we had a statement that no two fingers on the same hand are of the same height. So we can,
Absolutely.
yes, so we cannot all think that we have to be similar and everything else. Now, when you were sitting in front of this teacher and parent teacher sort of, meeting, did you have reflections of you coming back, because what that was happening there is pretty much maybe the same that would have happened to you, except this time without the stick?
Mm-hmm. So it will be like when I was there, I was like, I clearly know that my son is not autistic for sure because the way and he expressed himself at home is different when he was at the school. Um, but then I realized that I can't just continue doing what I was doing. I need to find a way so that um, I can understand him better, so that I can help him better. So at that moment, I realized that it actually brought me to the time when I was in front of the teacher with the cane. It's a denial. It's people deny you for being who you are. And I can imagine it was so lucky that my son wasn't in the same room during that interview, because imagine how he would feel when he heard that statement from the teacher, right? It was the private conversation between me and the teacher, but in that moment I need to know that how can I help him, because obviously I know that he had selective communication. He only speak to people that he probably feel more comfortable with. So I then got on this journey of learning about him and learning about myself, because in that moment I realized that I the way that I was brought up, the way I live my life actually impact not only on myself but on my children as well.
Mm.
That's how I started to dig deep in this journey.
Absolutely, and it's the kids, or our loved ones, that then move us to really get to see that certain things are not right. And in your instance, did you feel that maybe your son was mimicking your quietness? Because monkey see, monkey do. Like the kids are sponges. What they see around them is how they then also go and project out in the world.
Yeah, it's definitely that's the case. But also because, like I say, because of the discipline, how I was disciplined when I was growing up with a lot of probably yelling, with some um, maybe smacking as well. That's how I was brought up, and I teach him the same way.
Okay.
So I used to like told him that's how you should behave, and he become very low self-esteem himself as well. Yeah, so it's not only that that's the way I was brought up, and I realized that it's not about discipline. When you discipline someone, and when you just expecting your child to be someone that you wanted him to be instead of how they live their life. And that's how I really realized that I need to communicate to my son and my children, my daughter as well, in a different level. Because
Mm-hmm.
a lot of us, one thing that I always remind myself, because of I watched a video by Sadhguru.
Mm-hmm.
Sadhguru mentioned that a child come through us to this world, but they are not our asset. We can't, a lot of time, we expect, as a parent, we expect our children to do things that, to fulfill our dream instead of guiding them. That's how I remember that we have to let them blossom as themselves and to live their life um, the path that they really want, rather than forcing them to do the things that we always thought that we want our children to live our dream.
Now, from what I'm understanding, do you feel like this particular incident gave you the much needed permission that you probably thought you needed? Or was that just one of the loudest wake up calls any person can actually receive? Because from here onwards, your story changes, your personality changes, and who you then become changes.
Yeah, definitely that's a turning point, because without that pivotal moment, I probably still doing the same things that I was doing. I wouldn't be on this journey of like personal development to really go back to why, asking that question, why did I do what I do? It's all about awareness, because if we don't have that awareness, we probably thought that we just continue doing what we are doing.
Mm,
I
absolutely.
think there is this saying, I have a mind blank now. It's Carl Jung was saying that until we make the unconscious conscious, we will call it fate.
Absolutely, because like you said, you didn't quite know and couldn't put a finger or a pulse to what was actually going on with you, which now then sort of manifested through the behavior of your son, which was then handed back to you. And now that you are armed with this information, you went on a quest to educate yourself. What did you discover on the journey?
First of all, I know about life coaching. We need a coach in our life because we need someone to be that lighthouse to
Yeah.
let us know where are we going. Because unless we have that, you did mention hero's journey.
Yeah.
There is a guru on the way. Either there are two ways for people to change. Either there is something bad that happens to you that you got no choice to change, or you have that awareness that you need to change. So I'm grateful that I am on this journey. After that incident, I was on this personal development journey, and I went on the life coaching journey. And one thing that the first one of the first thing of a lot of learning, but one of the first thing that remind or impacting me is taking 100% responsibilities of your life.
Ooh, yeah.
That's one of the first line that I learned when I was in life coaching. Because yes, there are things that happen in our life, but we are the one who decide whether we want to change or keep going with whatever that happened to you. If you don't take 100% responsibilities of your life, you probably just keep blaming others. You just accusing the rest of the things, maybe your partner, your parents, your government. But once you take 100% responsibility of your life, you took the power back in your hand. You are the one to decide whether you want to change or not, or you keep going with the loop that you're in. Keep complaining, keep whinging that, oh, my life, it sucks. If you don't take 100% responsibilities of your life, there's no one else to help.
I like that. That whole taking ownership and taking responsibility, because I think so many people get confronted with that, because then that means you're now to blame. And you can't point a finger at anyone else, whether the system, like you say, or the government, or people that are around you and things of that nature. But what does that actually look like when it comes to scenarios like this? Because some things you can't change. Like, let's say the scenario where the teacher says, "Oh, could your kid be experiencing this?" That you can't change. But what then does that look like, taking 100% ownership?
To be on the journey of personal discovery, because if I take that as the what is the word that I want to use? If I take that comment from the teacher as absolute, I
Mhm.
probably accepted what she
Right.
was saying. But I know my son, he is not. Okay. So I then need to find a way to help him. So I actually, from there, I actually look for professional, as in I because I know that it's all about to learn about a person that is like how people behave. So I went to look for a child behavior expert to know why did he behave in that way. And I realized that unless you know the reason behind what is this person behaving, why is this person behaving in that way, you need to find the root cause, the reason behind. That's how this whole journey started, to find out about him and to find out about myself as well. So I took that responsible. I took that steps and pathway instead of looping in the mind, feeling guilty that I was a bad mom. I didn't um, look after my child properly or something like that. If I get into the loop of guilty, blaming myself or blaming others, I could be blaming the teachers, I could be blaming my son, but then I decided that I need to get to the root cause. I need to find out the reason, because a lot of time people behave in certain way because of something that happened to them.
Absolutely. And from what you're saying, this is someone's opinion who I don't think in this particular instance would have been qualified to make such a remark or a life altering diagnostic, because people would have just taken that at word value and then started operating and acting in that advice that that teacher would have given. So do you think so many people might actually be operating based on somebody else's opinion and not having gone out and fully discovered what could have been or what they could actually be for themselves?
Sadly, yes. Yeah, a lot of time we always take that one particular comment and get into that spiral. And if we take that as a um, fact, it will impact a lot of our lives. So that's why I always wanted to inspire others, to let them know that people's comment of us is not fact, unless it's Tony Robbins always says that the things that nothing have a meaning until we give the meaning to it. If we take that literal meaning of people saying that, oh, you are stupid, and we accept that, we then everything that we do, every decision that we make will base into that comment that, oh, I'm stupid. But we have to realize that sometimes people wanted the best intentions for us, but then they don't know what they don't know, right? And if we take that comment and accept that and make a decision, do the things and behave based on that comment, that become a different outcome. But if we, that's why I always inspire and empower others to know that unless we accept that, we we don't need to we don't need to believe what they say. We have that, like I say, taking 100% responsibility of our life. If you don't accept that, find a way to become better yourself. Just don't accept the, if you don't accept that, you'll find a way.
Like that. You see, because so many people are leading lives that somebody, you know, sort of designed for them without them actually stepping in and saying, I take full ownership for this. Now, look at you now, Vivienne. I mean, you're coaching, you're speaking, you're also a podcast host called the Authentic Lioness. I mean, what does your younger self, you know, that quiet mom trying her hardest to be nice, make of this future now? What does she think?
Uh, the younger self of Vivian will be thinking that um you know you are meant for more, but you have that lioness in you, which is now unleashed. Everyone, I think every one of us have that lioness because if you can see here, unleash your inner lioness. It's not only women. Every one of us, you and me, have that version of us that is the most authentic version that without people around you, you are that person. But sometimes we put on that mask that we became someone that we are not meant to be. So that my work is to tap into that inner lioness or inner warrior to unleash yourself, to live a life that is true to yourself and not needed a mask to become someone that you are not.
And thank you so much for that, because I think now you're giving others permission as well to really step into their power and start living purposeful and fulfilling lives. But one of the things that you do is Facebook Lives. And obviously, like we've mentioned with the podcast, what was it like when you started? You know, like the first one that you did?
Going back to that moment, I still remember that moment because that was the time when Facebook Live is not as common as nowadays, right? Before Facebook Live, there's even others platform that is I can't even remember. There are things prior Facebook Live that you make video as well. But when Facebook Live first started, I was challenged by my friend to do a 30 days Facebook Live challenge. And I was like, should I do this challenge or no? I used to be so scared of this challenge. Again, we have that mental that you have to be that good girl. Don't bring shame to your family. And because I know that my Facebook friends, there are lots of my friends from primary school, from my own country, before from Malaysia. I was thinking if I press that go live, people might be thinking, what is she doing? Don't be embarrassed to your family. And I was like, people might be thinking, what's she doing? I can remember clearly to push that go live button. My heart was pounding really hard. I feel that my armpit was sweating. I was like, shush. I was sitting there literally more than 1 hour whether to press that go live button or no.
Oh no.
And I think only took me a day later. I said, oh shoot, I just pressed that go live button. Once I pressed that go live button, still I had that sweaty armpit. I was scared. And I look at that go live button. Shoot, there are people jumping on live. And then I said, oh my goodness, prior to that, I wish that nobody see that. I wish that nobody will jump on watching this live. But there are people that actually watching that live. I say, gosh. And I'll just wink it. I say, hi, this is my first Facebook live. I don't know what I am doing, but I was challenged by my friend and I'll just do it. And then they say bye. I think less than 5 minutes. But that was the first one. So obviously, second one was better than the first one, and the rest I just history.
Absolutely. You've gone from hiding to now hosting over 500 of these Facebook Lives. Tell me something. How do you now finish this sentence? I show up now because.
I showed up now because I know that someone out there is waiting for my message.
Understandable, because there are some people who've been told by their teachers that maybe they wouldn't amount to anything, or they should just shut up and never show up, or that they've been given a diagnostics that is life altering. and would actually change the course of their lives. So obviously you've gone on from looking within, which is basically yourself, and now you're helping others be, do, and have a happier existence as well. Maybe you can walk us through maybe some sort of a coaching moment where a client maybe would have said something that really got you to think, this is exactly why I need to be doing what I'm doing. Because like you said, so many fish out there are being told to climb trees, but they need somebody who can tell them, hey, swim, swim, swim.
Um, I think it's all about um I did work with clients who have the life um challenging moment that she was holding herself back. She was experiencing life altering but then when she was at work, she was a mom as well. She was told that she was not allowed to. It's a lot of stories behind because I'm trying to because of the privacy I can't really reveal too much, but it's all
Okay.
about um when someone, especially as a woman, in the male dominant industry, is there are male superior. So
Mm.
she was told that she was not allowed to get off work for her children. That's
Mm.
that's something that I feel that it's not right. Even though as there are policies, but you got the right to have your day off. But she wasn't given that opportunities. And I taught her to stand up for herself, to really, because it's not just because you are a woman and your superior is someone that is told her not to do something. I taught her that I actually tell her that you should stand up for yourself. You
Mm.
got your rights, you got your you have the right to do the things that you supposed to do. Even though it's all about speaking up for yourself.
Oh,
And
absolutely.
saying that it's one of the that's one of the incidents about I'm not sure if this answer your question, Prosper.
But no, we're good. We're good. Yeah, I really appreciate that because obviously so many people, even within their work environment, it is very difficult for them to actually stand out for fear that they might be taken away from the source of income that is then supporting those very kids that they want to go and see. But you coined your podcast Authentic Lioness, and you talked about it a little bit there earlier on. First of all, why lioness, and what does unleashing your inner lioness really look like on a day to day for the person that's listening and watching this?
As I mentioned earlier, that lioness is not necessarily out there. It's not about being loud. It's about being that authentic version of yourself. That's how this lioness mean to me and to all my clients. That lioness is not necessary to be outgoing, to be loud, to be rolling out there, but is that authentic version of yourself. So why lioness? It's actually a framework that I use. I know that you mentioned about the 3P framework, and also this is a one-on-one coaching that I am using to help these women. So LIONESS is actually a 7-step framework that tapping into that most authentic version of yourself. Because it's all about when you become the authentic version of yourself, which is the real you, where you live your talents, live your full potential. That's how you become confident.
Mm. Thank you so much. We will touch up on the 3P framework, a little bit later on. Now, So many people think that confidence, for you to be confident, everything has to be perfect. You know what I mean? Like the way you show up, the way you look, or your family, your website, everything else. Until everything is perfect, then, some people would want to show up, but it's completely opposite, right? You know, tell us a little bit about that distinction, and you know um how you came to realize that yourself.
Do you really believe there is such thing as perfect?
Sometimes the way the world wants you to think that everything has to align, the aesthetic, the way they look in the ads, even if you look at the burgers, or the way they present it, the one that's on the photo is not exactly the one you get in the box. So
Yeah, that's what the world taught us to be, right? We have to be perfect. We have to be Instagrammable perfect, right? But I think the most important to remind ourselves that is we are all perfectly imperfect. And I always thought that if it is like we all wait for that perfect moment, I wouldn't be having this conversation with you. If I wait for the perfect moment to start that Facebook Live, I probably will never start it, right? And that's because we were taught that you have to be good at your craft. You have to be good or perfect at your mark. Because when we grow up, we thought that, oh, we have to get 100% in our mark, right? But if we don't get 100%, people might be thinking, oh, look at someone else. They got 100, but you only get 80% because that's all about comparing people or our teachers or our so-called magical big people is comparing our weaknesses with others people's strength. But in actual fact, like I say, the work that I'm working is to tap into your talents because people might be good at maths, but you might be good in science. Everyone have their own strength. And probably I sidetrack a little bit because you were talking about that perfect. We always have to remind ourselves that there's never perfect in anything that we do, but we just got to start to become better.
and I like that. Now, you keep referring to them as magical big people, and I think in every culture we do have people that we look up to, and as kids, we really really look up to our parents for ideas, sustenance, security, safety, food. And for my kids, they just look at me for my phone. I think that's the only reason why they keep me. um but with that in mind, what you're presenting is something of a pattern break, where you are telling people to no longer look into that sort of way, but to, carve their own path. How do you strengthen people to say, because when they then start going on their own path, it looks like they're going the opposite direction to those magical people. And it really is very difficult conversations to be had, especially in cultural backgrounds.
It's more like when we said about when I say about magical big people, obviously like you say, they are the most important person in our life.
Mm.
Obviously our parents, um, we love them so much, right? And we always thought that we love our children, but our children love us more. We love our parents more as well. And that's why we do a lot of things to please them. We don't to be accepted. But then when, like I say, when we wanted to be accepted, we probably like you say, we go to the other way route. We become shrinking ourselves. We dare not to voice up. But then as a parent, I wanted to inspire on the other side as a parents because we used to be that leader people, right? to look up to our parents, and we try our best to please them. But now, as a parents ourselves, we have to ask ourselves, um, yes, we love our children, but we can only guide them. We can't really, instead of pushing them and without communication, we didn't realize that we probably didn't know that we it's about it's all about the communication. It's communication to get to know them better, because that's my passion, to use the tools that I have to understand them in a deeper level and communicate with them, that is understand them better, because it's all about communication. Because without understanding them more, we probably it's a bit more challenge to communicate with them. So going back to your question, I would say a lot of things is about getting to know one person better.
Mm.
It's about um, communicate with them on a level that is from the heart rather than from us to them. It's like if we a lot of time, because subconsciously, and I still need to remind myself all the time as well, are we communicate from our own thinking, wanting the answer that we want, or communicate with them from their lens?
From a collaborative sort of position, because you know when you're at a festival or at a market, and if the kids are walking on the ground, all they can see is people's knees, whereas you can see everything that they cannot see, and that's the reason why they're not enjoying it, because all they're seeing is feet and knees. When I realized that, I realized we need to elevate them so they too can see what we can see. That way they can actually enjoy the experience. Now,
Oh, I love that. That's such a
fantastic.
beautiful analogy and so true. It's such a great reminder as well. Our lens and their lens are totally different. And it's good. I love that. Thank you so much for reminding me that. I love that.
Great stuff. Now, I mean, obviously, you introduced us to your son, and that's how it sort of started this journey. And I'm assuming now you have become a big role model to him and all the other kids, right? What's the relationship like now?
There's still love-hate relationship for sure among all the parents and their kids, but then it's always I always remind myself to pause
Mm.
and awareness, because I the tools that I use is to learn more about myself and to learn about my children as well. I am someone who probably can be a bit like wanted to, I would say, to get to know them. And but then sometimes kids, especially they're teenagers, so teenagers is totally different when they're younger as well. So I always remind myself, like, pause and seeing things from their lens to understand things from their perspective. And once we are, the pause is so important, because without that pause, it can easily explode into something that is crazy. Especially, like I say, I don't know, probably your kids are younger, right? You did mention to me. Yeah, so younger probably is different challenge, but when they are teenagers, it's different challenge. So all about being that pause when you trying to when the blood is boiling, learn about pausing, because pause to really understand what is in a deeper level. Why are they doing that? Why are they saying that? And in that's how um, that's how my relationship with my kids nowadays. is to pause and really see things and understand them from a different perspective. That's
Absolutely.
why the 3P, the first one is perspective.
Great stuff. And I was gonna go into that now. So if somebody's watching right now, yeah, could you just let us know how it is that you help them? And maybe you can just expand on the 3 Ps, like you said, perspective.
Okay. So like I you mentioned earlier, I do keynote. The keynote is about the 3P in becoming more confident. And the first one is perspective, to learn to see things from a different perspective. And it also means awareness, because if we are living inside the jar, we can never see the label outside. We can never read the labels outside. So see things in a different perspective, because once you see things in a different perspective, there are a lot more possibilities. For instance, if you are seeing yourself as a victim, we go back to the earlier conversation, you are going to think that you are so unfortunate. You are going to live your life, the whole life like this. But if you see yourself as a victory, you then find a ways to solve the problem. You are more solution focused rather than focusing on all the problems. So it's about perspective, getting yourself out from that situation and see things from a different lens, from a different perspective. And the second one is powers, is the talents, is the strength that I keep talking about throughout our conversation, Prosper. Because once we use our talents, once we stop focusing on the weaknesses that we have and focus on the talents that we have, focusing on the strength, we then become more confident. And lastly is proximity. We need to get around the people that is uplifting us, and because we are the average five of the people that we spend the most time with, get yourself connected with people like Prosper, who are positive, who are empowering you, then will change your mindset as well. So these are the 3 Ps that I talk about in my keynote. The first one, perspective, prowess, and proximity.
I like that. And so many things, like if you're closer to people doing bigger things, your perspective on life completely changes because they would have, shown you what is possible and things of that nature. Now, if people are looking for proximity to Vivienne, where can they find you on the internet?
If you put Vivienne Fam, you can find me everywhere. If you just Google my name, there will be my Facebook, my Instagram, my YouTube, my LinkedIn, and you probably will find my TikTok as well to see some crazy dance that I did on there. So yeah, if you just search Vivienne Fam, I will come my website as well. Just www.viviennefam.com. That's my website. So I think you'll be easily find me online.
Absolutely. We'll definitely put all those links in the show notes so that people can be close to you there, because they say birds of a feather flock together. So if people are like-minded and they feel like they really want to step into their power and live a fulfilling and purposeful life, then definitely, Vivian will be the person to go to. But now that you've taken us into your world, we are now excited. What's next? What can we be excited about what you're creating or what you're doing that we can now be part and parcel of, or maybe help you celebrate?
Yeah, the podcast is definitely still going. The podcast is about interviewing 100 successful women, because again, it's about the proximity. I love having this conversation with these women from different background and experience, because I get to pick their brain, and their stories is very, very empowering, and it teach me a lot as well. And obviously I will keep doing what I'm doing to empowering more women to become more confident, to live a life that is true to themselves. That will be through coaching and speaking. That's my journey.
Absolutely. No, Vivian, I can't thank you enough for the time that you've spent with us today. What a role.
Yes, I love that raw, and I really enjoy our time together, Prosper. You asked really great question, and you get me into the stories that I had, the journey that I had, and I'm so grateful to have this journey because that's how I get to meet wonderful people like you are.
Absolutely. I really appreciate that. And for those that are watching or listening right now, thank you so much for tuning into the Online Prosperity Show. If you have ever felt maybe unseen or second guessed, or maybe just stuck in the background, I think this episode is your invitation to really shift with action, not perfection, as Vivian has actually mentioned. And if you're just joining us on the Online Prosperity Show, next time we're going to be exploring ideas that will help you build a happier and more joyous experience, because prosperity isn't just about success, it's also about fulfillment. And if this episode really spoke to you, I encourage you to share it with somebody who needs to hear Vivian's message. Tag them, send it to them, whisper it, shout it, so they too can stop hiding, because there's so many people that are full of talent that maybe somebody told them that maybe either they could never amount to anything, or they were just told to, be a good girl, like Vivian was told. And that then became their mantra for life. And if somebody has brought you here by way of tagging or sharing, subscribe, because each episode gives you exclusive access to transformations, truth bombs, and stories that would help you prosper out loud. Until next time, stay brave, stay real, and keep roaring. Bye for now.